Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Jack Smith. How's it going, man?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing pretty well, and I'm just glad to be on here. Thank you.
Okay, so kind of tell us, introduce yourself and kind of tell everybody what you do.
Yeah, so I'm a sophomore here at the University of Southern California. I'm studying journalism with a focus on doing broadcast journalism, specifically play-by-play broadcasting for a variety of different sports, and something I've been doing since high school, and excited to just continue here through USC. Here so far, I've been working for the student radio, working for some Pac-12 live streams specifically for baseball, and then next semester going to start doing some more stuff for football, and also do some other stuff on the side, like running a podcast, interning at 247 Sports, but main focus is play-by-play broadcasting.
Yeah. So, what kind of made you want to do this?
So back in high school, I played baseball, and I was kind of expecting that to be kind of my thing that I did in high school, and ended up not going the way I wanted it to freshman year. And so I had a little bit more free time than I was expecting, and stumbled into a broadcasting club meeting. And after that one meeting came out, like, knowing, wow, I was really surprised by how that went, and I really want to look into a little bit more. Flash forward, a couple weeks later, I joined the club's like upper division, like leadership people. Just kept trying to volunteer for as many opportunities as I could, and the club's one of the big things was they broadcasted the sports games, so they would have a director, a couple camera operators, and so that's what I started out doing. I think I worked the camera my first game, got to direct the second game. They had an audio producer as well, so I got to do that. And then eventually they asked people, like, does anyone want to broadcast games? And watching sports growing up, I thought I could probably do that, and ended up doing it. I'm sure it was really bad the first time, but just had a lot of fun. And throughout the rest of my high school experience, I got back into playing baseball a little bit, played that sophomore, junior year, but I realized a couple months in after joining the club that, like, this is what I want to do long term. And so really just dedicated the majority of my time to doing that, and ended up parlaying that into kind of following that dream here to USC, and it's been continuing so far.
So, why did you, so going to, anytime you get to go to USC, what is that? What's that like to say that, you're just an overall, just a student there?
Yeah, it's extra special to me. I mean, SC's been a special thing in my family. I kind of was raised on USC, and it was, grew up being a USC fan, at least following, the sports teams, and having an appreciation for the school. And it just happened to line up where I liked the school so much. And then it also ended up being the perfect place for me to go to do what I wanted to do. I mean, I love the school, but also just there's so many opportunities out here with all the professional sports, all the collegiate sports that are really booming right now at USC. You're talking about baseball, football, both of the basketball schools, both the basketball teams, and then a variety of other Olympic sports that are all performing at, a high capacity right now. And then being in one of the media capitals of the world in Los Angeles, it was special for me to get in, and I'm just happy that I got in, and B, it lines up so well with what I want to do.
Yeah. I mean, it's what's it like to just going into what have you broadcasted?
So over the fall semester during the football and basketball seasons, I was doing pregame, halftime, postgame shows for our student radio station, KXSC. I'm only a sophomore, so some of the play-by-play opportunities go to the people that have more experience and have been here for longer, and, paid their dues their freshman, sophomore year. So I was doing pregame, halftime, postgame for that. Same thing for basketball. And then come the baseball season, we've got four of us at the student radio station right now. So the two more senior members do the Pac-12 live stream, which is on the Pac-12's website, which means that the student radio is open for play-by-play opportunities for me and another sophomore here. So I've been doing that all baseball season, have gotten a couple opportunities to call games on that live stream when other guys have to step away, but been calling a lot of play-by-play for baseball season, it's my favorite sport to do. So I'm happy that I get the opportunities in that. And then doing some stuff for football. And then next semester, when start to move up a little bit, being a junior, I'll get a couple chances to call some play-by-play, do color commentary for football, also do sideline reporting, all that kind of stuff. But that's all for the student radio. And then, I've done other stuff like podcasting, where I had a football one, have a baseball one currently, and doing some other stuff as well. But for actual broadcasting, it's been mostly baseball, and other opportunities are going to follow in the next couple of years.
Now with these podcasts, were these already there before you got there, or did you make them yourself?
No, so the first one, I think it was a sophomore in high school. And a couple of my friends, one of whom is right now at Syracuse and wanted to follow broadcast media as well, and the other one just a football fan. We were like, we're already talking about football enough, at lunch and between classes. Let's just turn it into a podcast. And that started again, first one probably really, really bad. I haven't gone back and listened to it in a couple of years, but by that followed all the way through freshman year here at USC. And then at a certain point last year, I started to feel like, yeah, I've reached my end on this one. And then so me and another buddy of mine went off and kind of made a spin-off of that football podcast. So left the other two guys there. They're still running that one. And then left to create the Double Play Baseball podcast, which is what I've been running for the past year. We kind of under the same umbrella as the football one, but just covering baseball. So we started it in the off season before last season. So it's been over a year now doing that so it's just kind of started it on our own and both on YouTube and TikTok, like all the different platforms, but also kind of mainly started as a podcast.
So, I think you answered this question, but is baseball your favorite sport to broadcast?
I think for now, like growing up playing baseball, it's the one I have the most understanding of. I would say that like it's between baseball and football because those are the two sports I probably enjoy watching the most as well. I think I've had the most opportunity to broadcast baseball. I did it over the summer. I've done it more here at USC than any other sport, but I still want to give other sports a fair shot as well. But baseball is the sport that I appreciate the most just because, grew up playing it. Probably the sport I grew up watching the most. There's more games that you can see every year than football and basketball. And so it's a sport I feel like I have the biggest understanding of. But as of right now, I would say, yeah, probably. But also, it's the one I've gotten the most opportunities to as well. So it kind of has a head start. So we'll see. I don't want to rule anything out yet.
So let me ask you this. I know that in your college career, you get to have a lot of big opportunities to broadcast a lot of big things. And I think in the next few years, you're going to be a junior next year, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
So that's a big year in itself because it's kind of like the so long song for the Pac-12 for USC and UCLA before they jump to the Big Ten in 2 years. So what's that going to be like to just get used to all these saying goodbye to all these teams or something?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be cool because there's, I'm one of a couple sophomores in the radio station right now. We've got a junior, we have a senior. So I will, of the four people here, me and the other sophomore will be the only people that will see the final year of the Pac-12 and then B, also the first year of the Big Ten. So that'll be pretty interesting. And it's, it feels cool to be here at a time that's kind of unprecedented, being in a conference change and right when I'm, going to be coming into the biggest opportunities and the most opportunities. So I'm just, I'm excited to get to call anything, but the fact that there are going to be, some historic changes that who knows the next time they'll be undone. Like it could be another 80 years before USC switches another conference, who knows, or it could never happen. So it'll definitely be really interesting. It'll be fun to go and see, we already saw a little bit of it this year with USC playing some of their, the last time on the road at certain schools. So it'll be another round of that this year. And then the Big Ten, I'm really excited to just get out to some of those stadiums that, the schedule hasn't come out yet, but there's so many historic venues and teams in the Big Ten that I'm just excited to see any of them.
I'm excited to see like USC and Ohio State. That would be a really, really fun matchup and all that.
I mean, Happy Valley, like the Big House, the Shoe, all those places just would be seeing USC in those venues is going to be weird the first time, but eventually we'll get used to it. And so I'm excited.
Right. So yeah, you've gotten to see a lot of interesting things. Including, it's like, I mean, stepping into LA Coliseum, that's gotta be it. What when you first stepped into that place, like as like, and now I'm not talking about like the times you were a fan or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like his first time is like, I actually get to cover like a game here. Either a game or sometimes it turns into a racetrack.
I was going to say the first time I actually did step in to cover something like as a real credentialed media member was the NASCAR race that happened there last year. So it's a different experience. And, that's the first time I had been in the press box. So I was like, wow, this is cool. But then you look down and I'm so used to seeing a football field and it's a racetrack. And so that was kind of weird. But this college football season, you feel the history. you feel just how special it is, and you don't take it for granted because the Coliseum is just one of those places that, I think everyone needs to check off their bucket list, and seeing it from the different angles that, you can't, whether that's on the field. I got to do a game doing sideline reporting on the field, which was cool, looking up at the peristyle and everything like that. And then being in the press box and seeing, the fans, the crowd for the Notre Dame game was a real highlight because that was the most packed game of the year. It was the rowdiest crowd. Everyone wanted to beat Notre Dame, and if they won, they set themselves up for a potential playoff bid with a Pac-12 championship win, and didn't happen. But the fans were there. The win over Notre Dame happened, and seeing it from all the different angles and throughout the season last year was a real highlight.
That was that was good. Let's ask this. What do you want to accomplish this year? What was something in like your broadcasting that really was like, oh, I was not good at that, and then I'm like, I'm really good at it now.
Do you mean like going into next year, like what I want to work on, or something that, I noticed at the beginning of this year that
It's something this year, and then maybe next year too.
I think it was a lot of this year just kind of, dipping my toes in, and I thought I was like, oh, I thought I was good in high school, but I didn't really know how would that translate to college. There's some people who have been, they're taking classes on this now, and for me in high school, it was just doing it for fun and getting a little bit of guidance here and there, but didn't really know. And so this year was more just like dipping my toes in it. And one thing that I really learned is that I don't need to compare myself to anyone else. Like I just need to work hard, and I knew that if I worked hard, I would improve. And kind of just accepting I am only just a sophomore. There's no way I'm going to go out there and be, MLB caliber or NFL caliber right away, because that's just not going to happen. And I have years here to do that. I've got years, I'm sure, where I'll be waiting for an opportunity to get to that level. But for this year, it was more just an accepting of not going to be perfect right away. So just get better every single time. And that's something that I really try to work on, that kind of mentality of it, of, it's not going to be, not going to be perfect right away, but just continuing to work at it and ensuring that I didn't get too far ahead of myself, and just allowing myself to enjoy the process as well.
What are you most looking forward to next year?
Well, I think going on the road for the football games will be a really fun thing. Doing pregame, halftime, postgame. We didn't travel last year for the road games. The only one we went to was the Pac-12 championship game in Vegas, and that was such a fun experience that this year it'll be really fun to, I think, go to those road games. And we get to go to South Bend for Notre Dame. I think of the other stadiums that are on the road. I know there's Tempe in Arizona, Autzen Stadium for Oregon. There's a couple other schools that in the Pac-12 going on the road. I think Cal, with the last time USC will go to Cal to play while they're in the same conference. So excited to go to those road games. And I would, obviously watch them on TV because it's still got to know the team and follow it every week. But to be able to actually go to those games and see the last time USC playing in those road stadiums, that's one thing I'm really looking forward to.
All right. Well, Jack, thanks so much for coming on and talking with us, and best of luck in your broadcasting career. And we will definitely be having you on again sometime.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it, Casey. Thanks for having me on.